I'm Bruce Apar, and you're watching Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog. Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog is brought to you by Chase Media Group, publisher of The Penny Saver and provider of multimedia marketing solutions for an omni-channel marketplace. And we thank our CEO, Carlin Chase, and my co-host, who's not with us today, Frank J. Rich, for producing the show. And you could see all of the previous episodes, by the way, of Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog by going on YouTube and searching for Townlink TV, or even searching for Bruce the Blog, and you'll see all the past few years of TV shows come up. And if you are new to the show, if you're a new viewer, which we always hope there will be out there, we want to let you know that the show showcases people in the community who are doing really interesting things and making very positive contributions to our general quality of life. And on this show, we have somebody, well, we have some bodies, I should say. We have two people that I'm really happy to meet because I've been to many of their shows at the Westchester Broadway Theater. And that would be the founders and the owners of Westchester Broadway Theater, Bill Stutler to my immediate left, and Bob Funking. So welcome, gentlemen, and congratulations, because one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the show, although you're welcome anytime, is the 40th anniversary that you're celebrating, right, of Westchester Broadway Theater, which goes back, that means to what, 1974?
1974.
Wow. And July 9th, right, to be exact.
July 9th, the exact date.
So we're really, I mean, the timing of this show couldn't be much better. We're really right on top of
Yes.
the 40th anniversary. And currently, we should note, you're running Mary Poppins, the musical, the stage version of the Disney movie and the Disney stage musical. And that will be going on through what, July
27th.
27th. So you have a lot more time to go see Mary Poppins, and I have seen it, and it's a great show. It's like the movie, but different. Right? That's the best way to describe it. And Mary does fly over the audience, so there's a lot of that going on. But the obvious question when there are two people like you that somebody on TV like me is interviewing is, how did you two meet?
You start, Bill.
Well, we met in the advertising business.
Oh, okay.
We both worked in advertising in New York City. How this thing got started is Bonan, my wife, and I saw a dinner theater in Huntington, West Virginia. My parents took me to one, and I said, that looks interesting. I'd kind of like to do something like that. And I came back, and one day I was talking to Bob in the agency. I knew he had some theatrical experience, and he was a gourmet cook, so I thought,
Really?
well, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Of course, I haven't had one of his gourmet meals in about 20 years. But
More like 40.
and he thought that would be interesting. He just built a house in the Berkshires, and he had an architect. So we took an architect, and we went around and looked at dinner theaters, and we put together a marketing presentation because that's what we were in. We didn't have any money, and so we had to go out and try to find some people to raise some money. And we eventually did, and that's how it all got started.
and in a way, I mean, would you call that, perhaps, at least in my memory, sort of the heyday of dinner theaters, right? Maybe the 60s and 70s,
At
right?
that time,
Yeah.
there were 96 equity dinner theaters around the country.
Right.
It was really, it grabbed on the few years before, and it was very, very big. It
Yeah,
accounted for I don't know, it was a big portion of equity members' salaries and the jobs throughout the country.
And for those who don't know, Actors Equity is the Broadway union, the union for Broadway actors as well as all other professional actors if they are members of the union Equity.
Right.
And so there were how many? Almost 100 of them around the country. And now there's
That's probably 7.
7.
Right.
There's 7. There are lots of non-union dinner theaters around the country.
But still nowhere near as many as there were.
Right.
Nowhere near as many.
And you would attribute that, I would assume, to television. I mean,
Well-
the fact that, of course, in those days you didn't have 300-400 channels
Television,
of television.
internet, so forth.
Everything,
When
right.
we started, there were only 3 television networks.
Right.
And magazines and newspapers and radio, and that's what you advertise on. Now the proliferation of all the various internet and
Right.
so forth.
Which,
is
by the
incredible.
way, is even more of a testament to your persistence and longevity, that, that you're still around after 40 years. And you were saying there are how many equity dinners? You say half a dozen, maybe.
Yeah,
so
that's
So you're one of
yeah.
one of a rare breed, you might say.
At the moment, yes.
Yeah.
Right, and 40 years, we never thought we'd last 40 years. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's gotten harder, not easier.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And much more difficult now. The audience has so many other avenues for entertainment,
Right.
and the digital era has changed everything. It's amazing.
Well, it's also, along with all that, the technology, which does, I believe, and I've covered technology my whole career, it changes human behavior. It really
Yeah, oh,
does.
yes.
And so there's this need for instant gratification now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yes.
I mean, I think that's
Instant,
part of it, too.
you put your finger on it, that's
Yeah.
it. People
Yeah.
want instant
Gratification,
gratification.
yeah.
They don't want to wait anymore.
When we opened, Bruce, also the dress. Everybody came. The ladies always
and-
wore evening dresses.
Men wore jackets.
Men
Right.
wore
Right. Yes.
a lot of
Right.
tuxes. And of course, that's completely changed. And it's
No,
changed on
it-
Broadway too. I mean, you see
Oh, yeah.
people in everything.
They don't let you in unless you have a hole in your jeans.
No, but you know something? I have to tell you this. When I went to your website in preparing for the show, and I saw on one of the tabs on the website, theater etiquette. I thought, my God bless them, because I sometimes, I more than sometimes can get very obnoxious about etiquette. And I'm a throwback. I'm very much my father's son. Like, I recently wrote about. I was taught when you're inside, you don't wear a hat.
Right,
Which
right,
has
exactly.
totally gone
Oh,
out
my
the window.
God, that's gone, yes.
Right. But anyhow, when I saw that you felt the need, to put theater etiquette, and then
Yes.
I read what you were saying, I said, thank goodness there's still people around who value, you can call it etiquette, or you can call it civility, right? It's just basic civility.
You're right about that.
And it's interesting that you do say on the website, please don't come in shorts or flip-flops or things like that. And so I really, my hat's off to you. you
But
might
they
say.
do anyway.
But they do anyway.
Right, I know, right, yeah.
The thing that bothers me more than anything else, I'm not even talking about our theater, I'm talking about in restaurants that people would
Yes.
sit at a table with a hat on.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't
I was
believe
always
that.
told, like, you don't
Having dinner
when
with
you're
your
inside,
hat on.
you're in an elevator, you take it off. When you're in a restaurant,
That's just
but
unbelievable.
In any case,
Oh, well.
But one of the things also about Westchester Broadway Theater that maybe both of you are too modest to say it, but I've been a reviewer and a customer, and is that people might think of dinner theater and think, well, it's theater, but the dinner, I don't know about the dinner, but the food is really good. It's quality food. The menu selections are very generous in terms of what you can choose from.
Right.
And it's a great value. I mean, so I guess that comes maybe from the fact that you, Bob, were a gourmet chef, right? I mean, you take it seriously.
Well,
You take
a
it
little
seriously.
bit maybe. We always put a lot of emphasis on the food. We don't want to be people to think that they just come for the show and are going to have a sandwich,
Right, right.
And so we're always very careful about our food. And, it's cooked fresh. We have our own kitchens,
Right.
Which is different than a lot of other places. Some dinner theaters opened in hotels,
Right.
and some actually in the early days were really restaurants that put in a stage and called themselves a theater.
Right.
They really never were, I mean, what set us apart when we took the architect, Judith Chafee, to all the different dinner theaters. We went to Texas, different parts
You
of the
mentioned you went to
country.
Florida to see the Burt
Florida.
Reynolds.
We
What-
went up to Connecticut. Had,
What we
several.
found out that we were looking at dinner theaters were not designed for what they were doing.
Right.
They were things that were thrown together, like put a stage in a restaurant.
retrofitted.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
right.
Or being in a hotel. Our first theater and this one, they were designed specifically for its use, a dinner theater. And one of the things that has kept us going, we believe, and both of us wholeheartedly, is that the design. The fact that
yeah.
you're on 7 levels. Unlike Broadway,
Right.
someone with a big hairdo can still block your
Yes,
view.
right.
And not only that, you're very tight seats on Broadway,
Yep.
even to this day. And where we have
Swivel chairs.
Swivel
Yeah,
chairs.
it's very comfortable. You're right. Very
Yeah,
comfortable.
so-
yeah.
and
And there are no legs under the
obstruction.
tables. They're all
Right,
built
that's-
off
they're
the
all-
parapet
yeah.
walls, so, you don't,
that
not
is
banging
we,
into things.
We
Right.
think the comfort level, because you're there for a number of hours,
Yeah.
because you're there for dinner and the show, has helped us survive, frankly,
Right.
a long time.
No, I mean, I think that's a great point. And, you know, I have to admit, I sort of take that for granted when I go there. I don't
Right,
think
exactly.
about it
You
to
don't
the
think
extent that
about
you're
it.
describing it, but it's extremely comfortable. Yeah.
Well, it's a very intimate setting. A lot of people say they saw it on Broadway, but they really understood it here.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason why is that it's people surrounding the
Close.
stage, they're close up. There's no views that are obstructed anywhere. Any
Right.
seat's a good seat. So it's been a big quality of why we're still there.
Yeah.
And
I think that, by the way, what you're saying there, Bill, especially applies to the Titanic, which is an intimate show
Yeah.
because it has so much emotion attached to
Right,
it.
exactly.
I was with somebody, and afterwards, she goes, "That's one of the best shows I've ever seen." You know, she really was
Right.
affected deeply.
Yeah,
by
the
it.
intimacy helps, and it's very true. We have to keep talking about that more and more. Live, intimate,
Right.
close up, no obstructions. You're there.
Yeah.
Up, thrust stage. You're surrounding the stage. You know, and sometimes we forget to emphasize some of
Those
that, and
things,
we
yeah.
should do
And,
that
and we
more
should let
often.
people know also that they can, right under certain circumstances, just go to the see the show only.
Yeah, that's if you call the same day
same
and there's,
day? Is
and
that
there's
if you-
room.
okay,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Then we do that. But
Right.
few people seem to want to do that.
Right,
really,
they want the
you know.
whole package.
Yeah, they want the
Right.
whole package, right.
And then you also, on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays, like sort of in between performances of other shows, have concerts and all kinds of other musical
Right.
entertainment going on.
Yeah, we've done so many different things, from what we call our Gold Star events, where we've had really, large name stars like Tom Jones and Paul Anka,
Right.
and Harry Belafonte, and
George Carlin.
George Carlin,
Right.
may rest in peace. And I mean, we've had and then we do, doo-wop nights, comedy nights,
Right.
big band nights, different ethnic nights.
Right.
You name it, we have done it over the years.
And
And we don't do that every Monday and Tuesday, but
Right.
we do, I'd say, 2 or 3 a month.
now, do both of you still do the bookings yourself, or somebody else does
Bob,
that? You do
Bob
that,
handles
Bob?
all the Monday nights.
Oh, really?
Monday,
Monday
Tuesday
night, yeah.
nights.
Right.
We work with an agent that does
That
the
we've
booking,
worked
and
with since almost the beginning,
For shows and
yeah.
Yeah, I tell him what
we
I'm
were-
looking for, and he finds me things, and
Yeah.
then I
Right.
tell him what I want to pay, etc.,
Right.
and negotiate.
If
Right,
you ever
yes.
saw the movie Broadway Danny Rose, that's this guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you want
He's-
an ant act, he'll get you an ant act.
No, I always say he would book
What about an uncle
from
act? That's what-
anything from an ant act to Pavarotti. Take your pick.
That's funny.
His name is King Broder.
Yeah.
He even has
he's still-
that kind of a name,
He's
right?
still
Yeah.
around.
Woody
His son,
Allen
his
name.
son Mitch works with us now.
Right.
Yes.
And that's another thing, again, to point out to people who may not be intimately familiar with Westchester Broadway Theater, is that it really is Broadway caliber, because a lot of your performers are Actors Equity,
Right.
they're from Broadway, your directors. You were telling me about all these,
Yeah.
this woman who works for Andrew Lloyd Webber on all his shows that you also work with.
Oh,
Yep.
yes. There isn't a show on Broadway, a musical on Broadway, that doesn't have someone from the Westchester Broadway Theater.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
there isn't.
That's
In fact, we
amazing.
went to see Kinky Boots a couple of weeks ago, and the male lead was, he was the lead for our Rent when we did it 2 years ago.
Oh, I saw that. Oh, really? Yeah, I saw Rent at WB.
And he's on Broadway now playing the male lead, one of the male leads, or two male leads, and he's
Right.
one of them.
The last 5 choreographer directors who run Tony's worked for us.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. So we've, there's a lot of people that
Right.
have gone. I don't know if you remember who Estelle Harris is. She was George's mother in Seinfeld.
Oh, Seinfeld?
Oh, yeah, she did lots of, she said, oh, Bill, you don't pay me enough money. You never pay me enough money, Bill. And Holland Taylor, who's the mother in 2.5 Men and has been in several things.
Right.
She was in our 3rd show, Blithe Spirit.
Oh, wow.
Yes, years
Oh,
and years
yeah,
ago.
and so many have gone on to get Tony Awards.
Right.
And,
Right. Well, again, and if people go to your website, we should point that out, that you do have a long list of people who, just like you're saying, Scott Bakula,
yeah.
Susan Stroman, who's like won a lot of Tonys as
God,
a choreographer,
yes,
right?
and director.
She's like
yeah.
one of the hottest Broadway
Yes, she is,
choreographers. Robert Cuccioli, who,
Yep.
from
Bob
Jekyll and Hyde,
Cuccioli,
right?
Jekyll and Hyde.
Who says that
Phantom.
he directed for you? You
Yeah.
directed Jekyll
Well,
and
he
Hyde,
directed
yeah.
Jekyll and Hyde, but he was our Phantom in Maury Yeston and Arthur Copett's Phantom that we did.
Right.
And we ran that for 9 months. That was the longest
9
show we've
months?
ever
30,
run.
yeah, 36 weeks, I think.
When was that?
This
In,
was
in the second year,
the
right?
second
92?
year of the new
New-
theater.
of the
We
new
say the
location.
new theater is now older than that.
It's actually been in this new theater longer than we were in the
other
first
one.
theater.
But it was the second
Oh, really?
year, and you couldn't get Phantom of the opera. And Yeston and Coppola had written their Phantom
Right.
before
Right.
Andrew Lloyd Webber, but when he announced that he was going to do it, all the money went away. And so
Yeah, right.
after Andrew Lloyd Webber's was there and it looked like it was going to be there forever,
Right.
a guy in Texas got in touch with them and started it, and then they went to Chicago, and then we brought it to New York. Ran it there.
yeah, right.
Maury Yeston and Arthur Copa brought everybody in the world to see it, and I think they made a fortune selling it all over there because it went all
Of
over
course,
the
Maury
world.
Yeston wrote Titanic, too,
Yes,
right?
And Nine.
And Nine, yes,
yeah.
right. Yeah.
He's a good friend at the theater.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And this is something I know that will sort of tickle Yankee fans, that Susan Waldman, who all of the Yankee fans know, is
Yeah,
and she's a
right.
great sports announcer too.
Yeah.
by
Oh,
the way.
God, she's
was
terrific.
an actress, right?
Oh,
and who
yes.
performed at Westchester Broadway
Yes.
Theater. That's really something.
Yeah, she did a couple
And she was
of
in
shows.
Nine. Yeah.
She was in our first Nine. We did it
Yeah.
twice.
Right.
She also
played
did
the
a
French.
Christmas show for us a couple of years ago.
Right,
After
recently, yeah.
Nine was her last show before she got the job.
With the Yankees.
Yes, yes. She was a big baseball fan. At
Right.
the time, she was from Boston, and she was a big Boston's Red Sox gal. And she used to go to their camps and did everything. She knew everything about
Really?
baseball.
So I guess in terms of entertainment, she's a switch hitter. You
Yeah.
would say.
Ah, well put.
Right. And you mentioned earlier Tom Jones, and that's one of the things. Again, anybody sitting in my seat interviewing people like you know, you see all these names: Jackie Mason, Tom Jones. You have to say, like, what about, what kind of stories do you have about those people, right?
Well, Bob can tell you about Tom Jones
Yeah.
and
Well,
the ladies that brought their...
Yeah, the ladies, of course, love Tom Jones, always have, and he is a great singer. And when he was with us, it's about 10 years now ago, what I found very amusing was that the women brought little brown paper bags or plastic bags, and they pulled out panties and threw them on the stage because they used to do that years ago when he was young.
If you read about Tom, I remember
They
that.
would
when he-
take
remember when he
off
came
their
up,
actual
but-
panties in
Yeah,
those
they would.
days.
Yeah, like, yeah.
I thought, oh my, this is what we've come to.
I think George Carlin was our favorite
Really?
because
Yeah.
he's a very quiet gentleman. He came here. He says, "Oh, I like the theater. It's very nice. I'll just have crudités, no dressing or anything, nothing to drink because I don't drink anymore, but just crudités." And he's, "Oh, this is lovely. This is wonderful. Everything." That night we had his mother and his brother with us in our office, which is a box looking over the theater, and he comes out and starts the George Carlin vitriolic stuff, and
It was
so,
like
so the
stark.
antithesis of what the man that we met. And I asked the brother, "What does your mother think about this?" She says, "Oh, she just says that's just George."
Yeah, because he's so
Wow.
calm and quiet and
Right.
sweet. And he
And
has
he
some
gets-
allergies, so this whole business on the contract about only crudités, no dip. Bold type, underline 5 times. No dip, no dip, no dip. It could kill them. And then some of the other people, especially from the rock show people, others picked up on it, what they have in their contract and what they want.
All the writers that they have on the contract.
Oh my gosh, it's just ridiculous, I say, do your show and be quiet.
And what about Jackie Mason? Was he quiet off stage? Or?
Yeah, no, he's always on.
Right.
He's always on and making cracks. I don't think anything strange happened with him.
Like with Ed Sullivan, nothing's when he got kicked off the Ed Sullivan show. Right.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, right. Yeah, he did.
Oh, that's a very famous incident.
Yeah, years and years ago.
He sort of picked the wrong finger to wave at Ed Sullivan.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. He was joking around, but Ed Sullivan didn't think it was too funny, so he banned him from his show. Yeah. And you also, we should also point out, you also do catering and corporate events and all kinds of other things.
All kinds of different corporate events.
Right.
We do all kinds of things. Like the other night, Wednesday night, we had the Hamilton High School graduation.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. They've done it at the theater for the last 4 or 5 years now. They've already booked for next year.
Right.
The kids all come in, all dressed up, looking beautiful, and the girls in their dresses, and some of the boys wear tuxedos.
Well, it's a great venue for something like that. I mean,
it works
again, because
very
of the
well.
openness of it.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
We've done weddings.
Right.
And we've done crazy things because we have a lift, and the bride and the groom can come up out of the basement onto the stage and do different things. We can be very theatrical.
Oh yeah, it's true with the elevator, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't done any mud wrestling yet.
No mud wrestling. Right?
We might do it though.
I hope not.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say, why not, right? And so both of you are still very actively involved in the whole operation of the theater.
Yes, we are.
I mean, but do you ever see a time when there'd be other people, or is there a succession plan, so to speak?
Yeah, there is basically people in place, and we would be untrue not to say that we do take a lot of time off during the year. It's not that we take only 2 weeks, Probably, adds up to over a period of a year we take off a couple of months.
Right.
And we have many people who've been with us over 30 years, so they know how the place runs pretty well.
Better than we do.
Managers.
Well, no, right. And it does. And by the way, it does run very well. I can attest that. And our director, Richard Redmond, just gave me the high sign. We want to show the clip from Mary Poppins before the show ends. So why don't we do that now? We're going to show a clip that runs about 3 minutes that features highlights from the currently running Mary Poppins at Westchester Broadway Theater, starring Lauren Blackman.
Yes.
She's fabulous.
Yeah,
the show is terrific.
She is fabulous.
It really is.
I'm practically perfect in every way. Practically perfect, so people say. Each virtue virtually knows no bond. Each trait is great and pinkly sound.
It's a jolly holiday with Mary. Mary makes your heart so light.
Oh, really?
When the day is grey and ordinary, Mary makes the sun shine
You
bright.
do talk nonsense. A spoonful of sugar helps a medicine go down. The medicine go down. Medicine go down. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down in a most delightful way. Feed the birds. Tuppence a bag. Tuppence. Tuppence. Tuppence a bag.
Here we go!
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious. Supercalifragilistic.
My chance, I've brought the punishment that best befits the crime. Brimstone and treacle and cod liver royal.
each.
We won't forget you, Mary Poppins. We'll never forget.
And of course, you've had people flying before, like Peter Pan, but isn't that the first time you actually had a performer flying over the audience, right?
Yeah. And it's,
Usually they're just above the stage and not over the audience.
oh, yes.
So, yeah.
No, that's the first time we've done that.
You know, we should mention that with Mary Poppins and the next show, which is a full-scale Broadway production of The Wizard of Oz, we have this family plan that we're offering.
Okay.
Since it is, they are family shows. And
So if they go to
yeah,
the
they have
website,
two
yeah,
adults
right.
and 2 kids,
Right.
and they save like $48, and the kids get unlimited soft drinks, and there are special discounts they get on appetizers and gift shop.
So if they go to the website, they can find out more about it.
Just
yeah.
look at the family plan.
Which we
right.
showed is BroadwayTheater.com.
Right.
And you know, I get nervous, by the way, like when I saw the show live, and then just again, like when the elevator, I think on Supercalifragilistic, comes down, I go, I hope none of them like get their feet. Right, but I guess you do have to be
They
careful
know where
about
they
that,
are
right?
at all times.
They better know.
I know.
Yeah,
Hit their marks.
There's a
right?
lot of rehearsal to it. One time we did have somebody that fell into the pit, but that was an
a special-
agent who wasn't even supposed to be on the stage
agent?
for an act that we did. It was a one-nighter. And he was
somebody
told
didn't-
not to
sure
get on
somebody
the
didn't
stage.
push
or
them?
No,
anything.
this guy, yeah.
And he fell.
Why was he on stage?
Well, that's what we wanted to know. It was before the show started.
Oh,
He ran up on the stage and boom.
Oh boy!
fell down. It was.
And in closing, which we only have a couple of minutes left, you were saying, and this was like really a bit of a shock in its own way to me, how a very small percentage of Westchester residents actually go to Broadway.
Yes.
Which again, maybe isn't so bad for you, but it just was very surprising. I mean, and it does sort of imply that, you know, there should be more interest in this kind of production, whether it's in Elmsford where you are or on Broadway. So it's unclear what. Well, I mean, as we said, there is all the other media involved, but there's nothing like live theater. There's just nothing even comes close to it.
That's
right?
what we like to think, and hope other people will also.
Yeah.
And Broadway is, you know, it's out of the expenses for most people. They can't afford it anymore.
Right.
$130 a ticket.
It's crazy,
You know,
I know.
You're paying
Right.
$40 a night for parking.
Parking, and your parking
And
is
then you got
free.
the other-
And our
Your-
parking is-
There's no
it's just-
charge.
The prices are crazy, and Broadway, as we said earlier, exists on tourism. It would be out of
Right.
business if it didn't have tourists.
No, and we should
account
mention
for
that, because that was even before we went on the air, that
65.
Bill and Bob were telling me that 2/3 of the people who go to Broadway shows are from out of town. They're not even from the
That's right.
tri-state area,
Yeah.
the
Right,
New
exactly.
York area, yeah, which is also very surprising.
No.
This is what keeps Broadway alive, and we want to keep Broadway.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it's a good thing it's still doing well, but
Yeah.
come on, everybody, you got to get down, you know, to Westchester Broadway Theater more and just see more live theater in general, I think. And there's a lot of great live theater in Westchester, straight theater.
Oh,
and
yes.
Sure.
Straight
Oh,
plays and musicals in your place, of course. So, anyhow, we want to thank. I know we're getting the eye sign again. Like we want to thank Bill Stutler and Bob Funking, and again, congratulations.
Well, thank
on,
you very much for having us.
Very auspicious 40th anniversary, and
We are now the longest-running equity theater in the history of the state of New York.
well, that's
That-
something.
That
That's
is open 52 weeks a
We're,
year.
so, no, there are a lot of summer theaters, but we 52 weeks a year.
Yeah, no, and that's something to be proud of. That's for sure. Yeah. So again, that's the Westchester Broadway Theater in Elmsford, and after Mary Poppins, it's Christmas show. So thank you for watching.